And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can see that I have my palm tree background with the beach. I would be outside right now doing the broadcast, so you could see the physical trees that are around me. But when you're outside in Florida, and we've done this before, your computer overheats. And so when you're outside, no matter where you keep the computer, keep it in the shade, doesn't matter, keep it away from the sun. We did it with Papa Joe when we were out in St. Augustine, and the computer will actually overheat because it is, as of right now, this morning at 9:07, I'll tell you what the temperature is. It is 79, and it's supposed to potentially be 92 degrees today. So we would show you the real trees, but for now we're going to show you this beautiful background as I'm down here in the great state of Florida, our second home on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and of course, because we do Diz with Dan, Superpowered Pop obviously has a place down here, and we'll be covering Universal's Epic Universe next week. In the first 2 weeks of it opening, I will be on site on location covering that for Superpowered Pop. So Florida is our second home. It's been that way for over a decade, and I'm grateful to be here with you in the Travel Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can get to Great Lakes Honda City Monday through Saturday for sales and service, and you can get a sneak peek of what Great Lakes Honda City has to offer by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. Duke's Knutson's coming up here first. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Blessings in Baseball is going to start off today's broadcast as we speak on the good Lord, faith, and we will also get into America's Game. From there, speaking of America's Game, we're going to continue that in hour number 2 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time with an all-new Bearcat Breakroom and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. I will be joined by Evin, Sullivan, and Zack Kent of the Binghamton University Bearcats, who just won the America East and punched their ticket to the NCAAs, which is the same thing the softball team did, and the same thing the men's tennis team did. So a lot of championships going on in Binghamton, and we're proud to be their partner. And we'll round out today's show, as we always do on a Tuesday, with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call, we are with you up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, which is our live internet streaming radio. I am picture-in-picture with Duke's Knutson here, speaking on faith in God and America's Game. He is your Tampa Bay Rays press box manager, and he's also the owner of one of the coolest sweatshirts I've ever seen in my life, which was part of that picture where he had all the logos on it. So, with that being said, blessings of baseball. Mr. Dukes, how we doing?
Oh man, great. Another great day in paradise here, as you know.
Yeah, and being able to experience this, right, and be back down in the great state of Florida and have some fun here with this weather. Just what you could say about that fact. I mean, some places were getting snow recently. Some places like Syracuse, New York, my hometown, had rain for all but like 2 days out of 2 weeks. And here we are in Florida with the beautiful sun, and my tan continues to blossom, which I'm very excited about. So the lighting is not going to adequately show it, but you can see it on my pictures on social media. I'm getting my skin color back, Duke. So what's it like to be down here in Florida?
Well, speaking of weather, it's why a lot of us are here for sure. It's a season now where summer is just starting, so the heat has been turned up, the humidity's turning up, and for a lot of people, it gets a little uncomfortable this time of year. All I have to do is think back to my Minnesota days, and I can put up with heat, I'll put up with humidity, but I don't want to put up with any cold. And so I'm very blessed to be down here 18 years now, and I'll take this any day.
Yeah, no, I can definitely feel that, appreciate it, and respect it. And speaking of being down here, the Tampa Bay Rays, you sent me your shirt, which I want to share with everybody here this morning. I got a picture of Dukes' shirt here, and it says, "Just an old man who loves his Rays and Twins." So you can You can, well, let's see here if I bring it back. There you go. You can see that there. Just an old man who loves his Rays and Twins, and it's mixed here in the middle because obviously Minnesota is home, but Tampa and the state of Florida has become home as well. Where did you get this, and how cool is that shirt?
Well, to be honest, I don't know where I got it. I'm not a tech person at all, but every time I go on Facebook, I see these ads, and I don't know how they find you, but they do. And this one particular ad, it was appealed to me, and you could put any two teams you want there.
Yeah.
And so most people would put their football team and their baseball team, the Twins and the Vikings, or the Rays and the Buccaneers. But I chose to put the Twins and the Rays, and so it's been drawing a few comments in the press box.
Yeah. What have you heard from people in the press box?
Oh, they love it. They love it. They think it's perfect for me, and it is. It's perfect for me. So, um, some people will say, well, you got to choose one or the other, and I keep saying, why? Why? No, you don't. I spent all those. I've been a Twins fan since their inception back in 1961, and of course, I've been a Rays fan now for the last 18 years, and I love them both. Of course, I always get the question, well, who do you cheer for when they play each other? And my standard response is both. I cheer for both.
Yeah.
I'd make a good politician, I think, Dan.
Well, I will say this, Dukes. To your point, growing up as a kid, they said, "Who do you like in football?" I said, "I like the Jaguars and the Cowboys." And they said, "You can't like both." And to this day, people say you can't like both. It's not right. You have to pick one. You can't be a bandwagon. I said, a bandwagon of who? Neither one of them has won anything in recent history. The Jaguars have never been to a Super Bowl. The Cowboys were good in the mid 90s. So why are you people mad at me? But I just kind of realized something, Dukes, is if my opinion on my life is my opinion and their opinion is their opinion, I learned something a long time ago that I say all the time. Outside noise, by definition, belongs outside. So just like you like your Rays and your Twins, I like my Jags and my Cowboys. And if you don't like it, quite honestly, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm with you. Doesn't matter. I'm doing just fine.
so, so going into the Rays, I would love to get your thoughts. And my buddy Jason Lucas, who lives down here, he's a brother to me. I consider him family, call him my brother. His daughters call me Uncle Dan, so shout out to Carly and Gracie. He just went to a Tampa Bay Rays game where he saw a walk-off and just an amazing moment there for Tampa. So he wanted to check it out. He wanted to get a feel for Steinbrenner Field and what the experience was like. He went to a perfect game, a wonderful game to see everything there unfold. So just what you could say about the Rays right now and what the experience has been like recently here to see some of the things that they've done.
Well, I guess just about every team, maybe with the exception of the Rockies, but every team goes through a streak where they do really well, and when they don't do so well. And right now, the Rays are in that winning streak now. They've won six in a row. Pitching has been phenomenal. They're getting some clutch hits, which they were not getting earlier in the season. Some of their uh, I guess you call them big boys, have stepped up to the plate and got some big hits, home runs, and things are going right now. And you know how that is, Dan. I mean, it just seems like you can't do anything wrong. But we know that's not going to last. So you just got to ride it as long as you can. The experience of playing at Steinbrenner, I think we've had 34 games now at home, which is the most in the majors because they intentionally are trying to play most of their games early in the season before rainy season and hurricane season hits, which starts next week, by the way. So we've had a lot of home games. So it's starting to feel like this is our home
Yeah.
for now. But interestingly, when I talk to some of the visiting teams when they come in, um, I ask them, how do you guys feel about playing here? And most of them do suggest it's like playing minor league baseball.
Okay.
It's and this in no way is disparaging to the Yankees, who are so generous in allowing us to play at Steinbrenner this year. But it is it's basically a minor league ballpark, and
Yeah.
obviously it's something new for the Rays to be playing outdoor baseball, first time in their 27 years, and um, so that's been kind of fun. It's been a sellout almost every night, so 10,000 people cheering, and um, so it's definitely been a very unique experience. But uh, at one point recently, we were 1-11 in our home games, and so we've turned that around. So hopefully, the rest of the way we can capitalize on that.
Yeah, I know you were, and like you said, I mean, there's streaks that happen, right? We're going to see these moments in time where, in this case for the Rays, winning six in a row, but starting off sluggish, right? Things happen. It's a 162 game season, so there's obviously plenty of time to see what teams can do. But the Rays have been in recent history very much involved, right? Very much involved in the playoff hunt, making it to the playoffs, almost making it to the playoffs. What can you say to that effect, Dukes? Because the Rays have been this team where they have these all stars. They have these fantastic players that they find. They're really good at scouting. They're really good at drafting. And they'll have these guys for a certain amount of time. And then they'll get paid. They'll go somewhere else. And then they bring in another group of guys. And those guys are able to do what they need to do. And the Rays have been able to navigate and at least be in some type of playoff picture or have some hopes of it in our last decade here. So they found a way with whoever they have to be in the hunt. And I'd love to get your thoughts on it because the adversity hasn't stopped them.
Well, I think you touched on it very well, Dan. It's kind of the model for these smaller market teams that you uh, have to excel in the scouting department, the development, and the Rays, in my mind, have done a great job of that. But the fact is, maybe it's a sad fact, but as these players do develop and get to the major league level and have maybe a couple good seasons with free agency and arbitration, smaller market teams just can't afford to keep all those people. And so you have to again use the talents in the scouting department to make trades. And you may trade an up and rising player,
Yeah.
but you might get four up and rising players in return. So you keep developing a new stock, and I think that's where the Rays have done so well, probably better than most teams.
Yeah, that system of just finding it, right? Some teams let you find the prospects, let you find the really good players, and then they go overpay for them. And other teams are like, hey, we found them. We're going to keep them. We're going to let them grow and blossom and see what they can do here. And Tampa's obviously done a great job of that. Dukes, you've seen so many players come in and out of Tampa, but because of your ministry, because of what you do on the side of faith and with God and everything, these relationships that you build continue on. So, from your point of view, as we discuss the scouting and finding good players, but seeing them move and then bringing in a new lot of players and seeing them continue to move, you've been able to keep relationships going because the relationship has gone beyond baseball and gone into faith. And so, I'd love to hear from your seat what it's like to be there in Tampa. And as we see some of these players move through a small market, you've continued to build relationships that last forever.
Well, from a personal point of view, Dan, it's just been an incredible blessing in my life. This is my 18th year now at the Rays, and virtually every team that comes in to play the Rays, I have a relationship with somebody on the visiting team from previous years. Um, and it's just again such a blessing to be able to connect with them on a regular basis, get to see them once or twice a year. So that's the beauty in my mind, it's one of the beautiful things about a faith journey, is that relationships don't end. I was telling a group the other day that I was a high school teacher and a coach for 34 years up in Minnesota, and now that I've been gone for 18 years, um, there are very few of those colleagues of mine for 34 years who I am still in touch with, and yet um, I worked many camps, for example, with Fellowship of Christian Athletes over the years. And I would work with a group of college kids, let's say for a week. And most of them I'll probably never see again. But you know what? We're still in contact with each other. We still text, we still email.
Yeah.
Um, and the relationship continues to grow. And that's kind of what's happened with Baseball Chapel in that, when the Red Sox came to town, for example, there's a player on the Red Sox who I've known for a few years now. And so we get together, we chat, we visit. In fact, we had a really neat experience as we were preparing to leave. I was down by the Red Sox clubhouse, and we were praying together. And one of our security people, unbeknownst to me at the time, because as I was praying, my eyes were closed. But then when I opened my eyes, there's this beautiful lady standing right behind us, and she joined us in prayer. And I didn't even know it at the time. But then we ended up having about a 10-minute conversation, and now I see her almost every night, and so there's another new relationship. It's so cool.
Yeah, and for you here with Dukes Knutson, the Tampa Bay Rays press box manager for this edition of Blessings in Baseball on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Dukes, it's been all about relationships for you, and ours
Amen.
included. You and I have built this over time, and you have been so gracious and kind, and you tell the truth. That's the biggest thing. And I would say to you this, and I think I said it the last time we spoke, but it's the thing that I connect to you, because when you first said it to me, I was mad, not at you, but mad that you were right. And I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to trust it, because if I had listened to you throughout my life, I would have not been in almost 100% of the relationships that I was in romantically. And you talked about being equally yoked. And I would love for you, because we're talking about relationships, we're talking about connection, we're talking about how no matter how far you are from somebody, when you build something, if it's built in faith and it's built with both people giving energy to it, then there's going to be this lifelong relationship and connection. So I would love to get your thoughts on being equally yoked and why it's so important, and really what it means to be equally yoked, because as you and I have talked about many times, it is not an easy thing to find. I found it in friendship, but it is very hard to find, because you have to look for it in business, in friendship, in romantic relationships. Being equally yoked means surrounding yourself with this certain type of connection, and I'd love for you to build upon that, because Dukes, your voice is in my head all the time.
Um, well, first of all, I need to preface it by telling your audience that I'm a lifelong bachelor.
Yeah.
I'm almost 75 years old, and when I was your age and younger even, my goal, my dream, my desire was to be married and have a family. And when I got into my 30s, I started wondering, what's going on here? I was involved in 3 relationships that easily could have ended up in marriage.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I know now it's what we call the Holy Spirit was telling me, don't do it. And today I'm so grateful that celibacy is a gift. Paul calls it a gift. Paul describes it in 1 Corinthians. celibacy is a gift that's for some people, not for most people,
Yeah.
but for some people. And I'm so grateful God's given me that gift. But there's such a good reason for when Paul writes that we are not to be yoked with non-believers. Now, that doesn't mean we don't associate with non-believers. I have many, many non-believing friends, but we are not to be yoked with non-believers. And now we're getting into that special relationship that I think you're describing, Dan, that
Yeah.
it goes beyond friendship. Uh, Um, and I guess the best example I can give you is a baseball player friend of mine who became a Christian after he was married for several years.
Yeah.
And when he became a Christian, I mean, he went in full go ahead. He couldn't get enough of scripture reading. He always wanted to know more, and he admittedly was what I guess we would call on the wild side in his youth, even in his early married life. Both he and his wife were uh, again kind of on the wild side. And once he became a Christian, his desires changed. You know, 1 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Whoever is in Christ is a new creation." And so this ball player, he's a different person than he was when he got married. And his wife was not on board with it. And long story short, they ended up, after 5 years of desperately trying to save their marriage, it sadly ended in divorce. And she basically wanted no part of this Christian lifestyle. And he felt he needed to be true to his faith. And so again, that's why I think it's so important to be yoked and to know what that means, to discuss it, to um, I in less than 2 weeks now, I'm actually traveling up to Minnesota to officiate a wedding. Um, uh, the bride's father was the captain of one of my high school teams, and we have spent hours on Zoom meetings like this discussing what it means to be married. When they asked me if I would officiate their wedding, I told them, I said, I don't know. I said, it's an honor, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but we need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And I need to know, do you view marriage the same way I view it? And that's through the lens of Scripture. Do you know what it means to be yoked? And after hours of conversation on Zoom, I'm so convinced that they are yoked and they are ready for this next step in life.
Yeah, and like you said, when you go through this and you're asking these questions, how does one determine if they're equally yoked? How do you discern, which I find to be an also a very deep word. There's a difference between understanding and discerning, a difference between making a decision and truly discerning through one. So how do you discern when you're trying to discover this yoke essence of relationships and if it truly is there?
Well, I don't think there's one standard answer for that. To me, that's almost like asking, I've had numerous young people ask me, how do you know when it's time to get married?
Right.
How do you know when to? I'm not, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
The best answer I have, Dan, is you know when you know. And I think there are some telling signs. For example, this is many years ago, but I had a couple who had met through FCA at our college group, and they got engaged. And one day I went out for lunch with the young man. His name was Tom. And I discovered that they had never actually prayed together out loud. And I said, wait a minute, you're about to get married and you've never prayed together out loud?
Yeah.
Uh, Again, do you know what it means to be yoked? Do you know what it means to be committed to God in your relationship? You need to pray together. You need to be reading the Bible together. You need to be worshiping together. And not just this couple, but I think there's too many couples who don't seriously get into those things. Um, yeah, we go to church once a week. Well, I'm not sure that that's enough if you're going to be yoked. Every aspect of your life has to be revolved around your relationship with Christ. And that means, again, that means praying together. Now, this couple I just referenced to you about the ones I'm going to be officiating their wedding here in a couple of weeks. Since we've started these meetings, they told me that they didn't used to pray together, but now they pray together before meals. They pray together at night. They pray together numerous times during the day. But it's not something that they used to do.
Yeah.
And now it's become part of their lifestyle. So again, I don't mean to avoid your question, Dan, but I just don't think there's a standard answer of how do you know or how do you a conversation and turning what you know into action. I think those are really important.
So I'm going to put myself on the hot seat going off of what you just said, Duke. So I'm going to say this to you. Since we've known each other for so long. So the Holy Spirit has obviously guided me in a way that I cannot be more grateful for. I think yesterday, having a conversation with my mom, I showed God an ungrateful person. I showed God somebody who has all of this but wants this other thing and was focused on that instead of saying, hey, God, you've given me, you know, people ask for a blessing. You've given me 800, backed them into my driveway, dumped them in my driveway, and brought them in my house with me. But there's that one thing that's escaping me. So let's say, Dukes, that I call you one day and I say, that one, and first and foremost, God, thank you for my life, and I apologize for being a jerk yesterday. So looking at where we are right now, let's say I call you and I say, Dukes, you know what? I think I found her. I think I found the right woman. I prayed on it. The Holy Spirit, if I had listened to him as he's flown through this world, I would have jumped on his back and been with his wings and not gotten involved in most of these. But I think that this is a good one. So I call you up and I say, Dukes, I think I found it. Going off of Equally Yoked, what would you say to me if you don't know this girl from anybody, right? And I say, Dukes, I think I found the right one to date. I found the right one to actually have a deep relationship with, a real relationship with. What would come out of your mouth when I said that?
Uh, Again, it's hypothetical and
It is hypothetical. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I would say keep pursuing. I mean, the Lord has opened doors,
Mm-hmm.
and you keep going through those doors until He closes them. If everything is proceeding right now the way that it should be, and it's all positive, and the Lord is the center, the Lord is the focus of this relationship. Um, again, I'd go back to some things like, well, are you guys reading the Bible together? Are you guys worshiping together? Are you on the same page as far as what you want in worship? Um, I've met a lot of young couples where they've gone to two different churches, for example. I said, well, how do you decide which church you're going to go to as a couple? Have you experimented? Have you gone to different churches and decided which one fits the two of you the best? Um, uh, I would encourage you to be in daily conversations about what it means to be in a committed relationship with the Lord as the center. Um, I would encourage you to study Ephesians, and where it talks about the roles of a husband and a wife, and are you on the same page there? And we don't always have to agree on everything, but do we understand each other, and are we compatible? So again, I would say those things to you, Dan, and I would say don't look to me to make a decision. I'm not going to discern for you. I'm not going to tell you if it's right or wrong.
Right.
I can't. I'm not. I'm too far removed from the relationship. You have to decide that. But I would encourage you to make sure you're examining everything as closely as you can.
Yeah, and you talk about having that open dialogue and communication. Do you think that that is paramount, like from the beginning? Do you feel like if two people are a week in, 2 weeks in, 10 weeks in, that in the beginning of the beginning, should you be talking every day, text message, phone call, or can there be times of silence? Can there be moments of silence? Because I believe in this world, a lot of people are afraid of silence.
Oh, most definitely. It's silence is silence is such an important part of my faith journey every single day. And I'm blessed because I'm retired, except for my job at the Rays, of course, and I'm older, so I have a lot of quiet time daily. Um, Now I forgot what was the premise of your question.
I said when you're initially
Oh,
starting to talk to someone, when you have
yeah,
that
yeah.
silence a few weeks in, yeah.
I well, for number one, I think, yeah, you start conversation. I mean, if you're on the first date, I think you better know where she's at in her faith journey. That should be one of the first questions you ask.
Yeah.
And if faith is not part of her life, I'm not saying don't stop dating her. I'm saying keep pushing that. Why? Why is faith not a part of your life? Did you have a bad experience with it? Have you just never been taught about faith? But I would be very, very upfront, say faith is a cornerstone of my life,
Yeah.
and if this relationship is going to continue to grow, we need to figure out what role is faith going to play in our relationship.
Yeah, like you said, being open and honest about that, being open and honest in general, I think is incredibly important. But it's in today's world, as you and I were talking about off the air, it's hard to always know where people are at. Distractions and social media can make a lot of things that are fake look real. So if you were, I know you're a bachelor, but if you were to date today, how would you discern when you're talking with somebody? How would you attack it? I know you said you would ask about faith right off the bat, which I think is important, but how would you navigate a world where sometimes somebody is somebody in front of you and they're a totally different person online? I mean, we're living in a world where it looks like a lot of people have split personalities and a little bit of schizophrenia when it comes to social media. So if you were to date today, how would you navigate a world that seems real and also seems fake, where someone can ignore you here but pay attention to you there? They can stalk your social media but not call you or text you. We're living in a very unique world when it comes to dating, and people like myself, Dukes, they tell me all the time, guys like you don't really fit this world anymore. So I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, I certainly take that as a high compliment. I don't want to fit this world, and that's what Scripture says. You are not of this world. You are in it, but you are not of it.
Right.
And I would be very upfront. And again, I'm talking first date, where I stand on faith and how important it is to me. And if she's not interested, then so be it. God has spoken to me that this is not the one. Then uh, I it's because of my age that I mean, everybody at the baseball stadium, they all know where I stand on faith.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell them. They know where I stand. They see me. They see me in the press box reading my Bible. Uh, I think I told you this once before. I've had people who will uh, use a cuss word in front of me, then they'll turn to me and say, "Oh, sorry, Dukes." And again, that's just such a compliment to me that you're reminding me that I am not of this world. Sadly, you are. uh, but yeah, I want to be an example. I want to show people that living for Christ there's a reason that the very first commandment is I am the Lord your God. Don't have other gods before me. And I struggle with that. Sometimes I have to say, is baseball my God?
Right.
Uh, I think I've over the years have done a decent job of battling that temptation to have all these other gods. But like you're saying, Dan, so many people who are what we would call it in the world, where money and fame and popularity and all these other things are more important than God. And I don't want to be a part of that world.
I'm going to ask you about a prayer here with Dukes Knutson, the Tampa Bay Rays press box manager, and Blessings in Baseball on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. And of course, we are spending the next 2 weeks down in my second home of the Sunshine State in Florida, which is why you see these palm trees and the beach behind me. You would see the actual palm trees where I'm at right now if it wasn't so hot outside that I would sweat and potentially pass out while on the air. So, with that being said, Dukes, I'm going to ask you about a prayer. And I don't know the name of the woman that it came from, but I thought it was a beautiful prayer. And I will say this from my point of view, I love going onto social media and finding women who pray and finding women who talk about God and giving their perspective and not just seeing it from a man's point of view, because in my world of dating, it's been very much me. It's been very much the man side of things talking about God and the female not really being connected or saying she is but not really living that course. So I love seeing women talk about God and mean it. So I'm going to talk with you about this prayer because it's something that I've brought into my life. And you and I talk about bringing things in or taking prayers that people know and adjusting them a little bit to make sense to us. So the prayer is, God, if this relationship is for me, if this is good, then may it continue. May it continue. May it blossom. May we form a covenant with you. May this relationship be taken to the end. May we form a covenant. If it's not good, if this is not the right relationship for me, then you have my permission to take it out of my life just like that in any way you see fit. I'd love to get your thoughts on that of a prayer and saying to God, if it's for me, if it's good, then may it keep going. No matter how, it could be a day in, a week in, a month in. But if it's good for me, I don't want to waste my time or theirs, then just help it to continue to grow. If it's not good, whether I know why, how, or not, you have permission to take it right out in any way you see fit. What do you think of that prayer?
Well, I have two reactions. Number one, it's a great prayer, as long as it's uh, and this is modeled, of course, in the Lord's prayers, as long as it includes not my will, but your will be done.
Yeah.
The thing that you said, and you actually said it twice, that I do not like about that prayer is when you said to God, you're saying you have my permission. God doesn't need your permission. It's his will and not your will. Doesn't need your permission. Um, I would say, God, if this is not part of your will, then give me the the understanding to back away from this relationship, even though my fleshly desire is to pursue this relationship.
Yeah.
If this is not in your will, then change my heart, change my attitude to be in line with yours. But like I say, he certainly doesn't need your permission to do what he wants to do.
Yeah. But and I appreciate that, and I understand what you're saying. To say to God, like, take, if it's not your will, take it out in any way you see fit. Be it silence, be it something they say, be it something that happens. Just, if it's not supposed to be for me, please take it out. They say that that's a dangerous prayer because things will leave, right? Things will go. God does not want to see you sit there and hurt and suffer. So when you are at a place in your life where you feel strong enough with God's will and faith in God to say to God, hey, if I want it and you don't want it for me, take it out. Just take it out. What can you say to that when you look up at God and say, I really want this, but if you don't want it for me, please just take it?
Oh, Dan, I think that's a great point, and that's again that's the meaning of "Thy will be done."
Right.
That's what it is in a nutshell. Is this is my desire, but I recognize that I'm flesh, and if this is not a part of Thy will, then take it away, please. We have to recognize that that's a good thing. And don't get me wrong, because I know that in a breakup of a relationship, for example, there's pain.
Yeah.
But again, that we're living in that society where we have to get rid of every pain. We're afraid to experience pain. Well, guess what? Pain is part of life. And um, I had an experience yesterday where a friend of mine, his wife died, and he's a Christian. And anytime I know that somebody who is a person of faith experiences death of a loved one, I remind them of Ecclesiastes 7:1. And in Ecclesiastes 7:1, it says this. It says, the day of death is better than the day of birth. Now, Dan, how many people, including Christians,
Yeah.
really believe that?
Yeah.
That's what faith is. Faith is accepting that as truth because it comes from the Bible, and understanding that. I mean, 1 Corinthians 15 also talks about the sting of death. So anytime a loved one dies, there's going to be a sting. There's going to be pain. But how can you not rejoice for your loved one? They have just achieved the ultimate goal of life, eternity with God. And that's a good thing. So I think as a person of faith, we constantly have to try to battle the carnal, the flesh part of us. Nobody wants to experience the sting of death, but I'm sorry, that's inevitable. You can't escape it.
Right.
But you also have to know in your heart that the day of death is better than the day of birth. And what do we do with the day of birth? We celebrate. In fact, we celebrate every year. So we don't stop celebrating the day of birth. And I think as Christians, we ought to celebrate the day of death even more.
Well, and it's interesting that you say that because my grandmother, G Mama, best person I've ever met, she was almost 101 when she passed, and it's been a bunch of years that she's passed. Hard to believe how many. I think it's going to be 8. Feels like it was yesterday. But on June 24th, the day she passed, I write it in my calendar as G Mama's celebration day. her Remembrance Day. It is not a day where I'm sad. It's not a day where I'm angry. It's a day where I remember her. And I remember her every day, honestly. But it's a day where I don't look at it as a sad day because she wouldn't want that. And I told my mom that. I said, Grandma didn't want people in here wearing black and crying and being upset. Grandma was a person of positivity. She's a person, not she was, she is. She's a person of positivity. She's a person of love. People think I'm weird when I say is. You know, your grandmother passed away? Yeah, then why do you say is? She is close to you. She does matter to you. She's in your life. I said, because she is. My grandfathers passed away over 30 years ago. They passed away, let me think here, 33 years ago? About 33 years ago. And if you ask me who helped raise me throughout my entire life from 1 through 6 and then 6 through 39, I include them. I think about them every single day, and I truly, honestly believe that they're teaching me. And why do I believe they are? Why do I believe they haven't gone, that they're not truly dead? Because I know they're in heaven. And Dukes, you know, I think that's something that might sound crazy to some people, but I genuinely know that those that I love that are no longer physically here are still here. They're just in a place that I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, it will sound crazy to a lot of people because, as I said earlier, um, 1 Corinthians 5:17, that whoever is in Christ is a new creation. And we think differently, we act differently, we live our lives differently. Um, my brother died, let's see, it would be 13 years ago now. And he was a very strong Christian man. And whenever a Christian person would come up to me and say, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss," Dan, I refuse to accept that term. And I would say to them, and not in a snarky way, I'm not trying to be belligerent or anything. I say, he's not lost. I haven't lost him. I know where he is. You know, for years he was living in Minnesota and I was living in Florida. I mean, we weren't physically together. And I said, now that he has graduated to heaven, it's really no different. He's not lost. I know where he is. He's in heaven. And the days, each passing day gets closer to when I'm going to join him. So I don't like it when people say, sorry for your loss. Not a loss, it's a gain.
Yeah. And the fact of them going back to heaven, what did you lose, right? They didn't choose to leave your life. They went back home. And so,
Absolutely.
you know, I mean, so as we live through this, Dukes, because you know, and you and I talk a lot on and off the air, but it is difficult, as I've told you before, for a man like me, right? So in the dating world, like you said, you're a bachelor, you had dated, you almost were married a couple times, and for a person like me, I want that. I want to have a family. I feel like God has put that in my heart. I feel like that the love that I give this world, I give it freely, and I give a lot of it. But there is that piece that I still believe is supposed to go to that relationship, and it's hard to navigate. I tell people I have a Captain America complex. I said, you know, I had the morals, the values, and the belief in God, and I still do. And I said, you know, back in the day that mattered to people, seemingly more. And then I crash landed in ice. They thawed me out in the 21st century, and I don't understand this world at all, but I still have the same heart. So I know there's men and women that are watching and listening, and it's not just me, but when you feel that inside of you, when you feel God has placed that in there, and if God gave it to you, there has to be a place to put it. There has to be someone that can equal that. What would you say to the people that are navigating a life that feels like a storm and trying to understand why God gave it to them, and yet they don't have that yet? Because patience is something that is difficult in today's world, right? We live in a microwave society. If it takes longer than a minute to microwave, it's too long. So to the men and women that are out there like myself, what would you say to people that have a beautiful life, have an amazing life, a wonderful life, a very blessed life, and yet still hope for that other thing?
I guess I would encourage them to not think about what you don't have, but focus in on what you do have. And I went through that stage, I think that you're talking about, Dan. As I told you, I wanted to be married. I wanted to have a family.
Yeah.
But am I really putting God first in my life if I'm allowing that to hold me back? If I'm allowing that to uh, dominate my thoughts? Am I focusing on what I don't have? Um, I think as I look back, I kind of shifted. Um, the older I got, the more I realized that this is a possibility that I will not get married.
Yeah.
Um, and I started accepting it more. Again, I felt this way for many years now, but I'm so grateful that God gave me that gift of celibacy. I could not have said that when I was your age, but today I could not be more grateful that He gave me that gift, even though I kept telling Him, "This is what I want. This is what I want." But when I keep saying, "This is what I want," I'm not truly living out Your will, not my will, be done.
That coming from Duke's Knutson here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Blessings and baseball, speaking on the Lord, our faith, the goodness of God, and of course, speaking on the sport of baseball. Dukes, you have gotten to experience your Twins visiting your Rays, and on Monday, May 26th, which was Memorial Day, we saw a 7-2 victory for Tampa. And then today and tomorrow, May 27th and 28th, we'll see the Twins stay in Tampa for two more games tonight at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time, and a midday game, early day game, I should say, on Wednesday at 1:10 p.m. Eastern Time. What are you most looking forward to as God has now put both of your teams together?
Well, it's no different than any other day. I look forward to being at the ballpark, being surrounded by a lot of good people, looking for opportunities to talk about the Lord with anybody who wants to listen, and just developing relationships. Being so blessed that I've been able to have both of these organizations a part of my life. I'm Well, I don't know if you remember, but in 2012, I actually left the Rays and went to work for the Twins at Target Field in Minneapolis for a year.
Yeah.
So both of these organizations are near and dear to my heart, and it's just an enormous blessing to be a part of it.
That coming here from Dukes. Dukes, as always, I appreciate you. I'm hoping that maybe we can carve out some time while I am down here to see each other. So hopefully we could do something of that respect. But I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. Appreciate your honesty. Appreciate your faith, and the fact that you have been a part of my journey, and hopefully in some small way have been a part of yours so far in helping us to see the good and see the God in others and to see that positivity. So as always, I love you, and I always appreciate your time.
Amen, brother. Love you.
I'll talk with you soon. Take care. That coming from Duke's Knutson here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we come back, we're going to keep baseball rocking and rolling here this morning as the Diamond is getting all the shine here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with more baseball talk, and that is going to be with our America East champion Binghamton Bearcats baseball team, and that will be featuring Evin Sullivan as well as Zack Kent here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this fast break. Once again, inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Thanks for being with us.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, There's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're gonna be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever gonna have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. And it is my pleasure to have here with me today, and they're going to be joining us picture in picture, and we'll see them as they both talk through here today. So I'm very excited to have them join the show. But back here inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, it is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we are here with you down in the great state of Florida in our second home. And with that being said, I have Zack here, who is picture in picture with me. I'm also Evin Sullivan will be joining us here in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats. And I have a couple things to say here. Champions, that's important. America East champions for 2025. They just did that within these last few days and punched their ticket to the NCAAs, joining Binghamton softball, joining Binghamton men's tennis. So just a lot of great things going on with Binghamton University, a lot of champions at Binghamton. So with that being said, Zack and Evin are here with me. Zack, how are you? And Evin as well. How's everybody doing this morning?
Feeling great. How are you?
Feeling really good.
Doing well. And Evin, can we go ahead? Can you say that again?
Feeling really good.
There we go. Want to make sure we got you on screen as well. So Zack and Evin here with me, Evin Sullivan and Zack Kent of the Binghamton University Bearcats 2025 championship team ahead of their time in the NCAAs. Evin, I'll start with you. Bring me into this season. We know that the baseball team is strong. We know that the baseball team is a program at Binghamton that is one of those pieces, one of those elements that for student athletes, for coaches, for alumni, for the community, has been a great pillar of athletics at Binghamton University, a lot of investment in this program. So I'd love to get your thoughts on, first and foremost, why did you choose Binghamton?
So when I was going through the recruiting process, I didn't know much about Binghamton University just because I'm a Southern Pennsylvania kid, living outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And once I, kept going, I kept talking to our coach, Herba, and then they brought me up on a visit. I fell in love with the coaching staff. They're all great, genuine guys. And just being on campus, even before all the renovations, I just fell in love with that. And once they showed me the future of the program being the new facility, it was hard to say no.
You talk about the facilities, and I've had the opportunity to tour and see this baseball facility, which has obviously been expanded upon because now you have an indoor facility for baseball, for softball, and other sports there at Binghamton University. What can you say? I mean, when we go from the stadium to everything that you have inside, I mean, you have rooms where you can have meetings and you can hit the glass and make the glass be all like shaded so nobody can see inside. I mean, touring the facility, and I'm going to actually share it this week on social media, but seeing what I saw at Binghamton is just absolutely, it's beautiful. It's not like anything I can ever say that I've seen. It looks professional. I remember going into the locker rooms, and it reminded me of the Orlando Magic in the NBA, just what the locker room looked like. So, Evin, what can you say to the facilities and the fact that it continues to grow, right? There's indoor, which, I mean, think about it. In Northeast, how many people have an indoor practice facility for baseball and softball, and you have what you need to control the elements, essentially, no matter what the weather is?
It's truly a blessing for us to have this because, as we all know, the weather can be tough sometimes. It'll snow a lot, We get a lot of rain, and it's cold for a lot of the season. So to be able to have just an absolutely great indoor facility in regards to the batting cages where we can go in there just about any time we need to. Then also when, maybe our practice plans get a little, switched up because of the weather, we just go right into our indoor infield and we can resume as if there was no, switch up in location, We can do a full infield. We can go live in there. We can accomplish pretty much everything we need to inside as we can outside, and it's really beneficial for us in this challenging weather location.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zach, to your side of things here, why Binghamton for you? How did this all come about?
Yeah, so I was at Wagner my first 2 years, and after last year, I kind of just wanted to switch up because a lot of different factors. I don't want to get into that too much, but I I entered the portal, and at first it was kind of slow, but then I sent an email out to Binghamton, which I didn't really email any other schools, but I was like, why not? Like, I'll just send an email out here, see what they say. And Coach Herba immediately contacted me, and he was like the only coach that was just constantly texting and calling me, and that made me feel like special compared to every other kid that the other coaches, the other teams that were trying to recruit me, and it just felt like they really wanted me. And I got on phone calls with Coach Mike, the infield coach, and our head coach, Coach Zanicki. So it just really felt like they wanted me. And after seeing everything, all the facilities, the great academics, what they've done in the past for winning, it just created a mindset for me that I wanted to be there. And after they brought me up in the visit, meeting all those guys, it was just awesome. And I couldn't turn it down.
You both mentioned assistant coach Ryan Herba. I'd love to get your thoughts, Zach, a little bit deeper in because I know you said him reaching out to you, him being consistent with you, meant a lot to you. So I'd love to get your take on just what it is about him, besides the consistency, just your relationship with him and how that helped you come to Binghamton.
Yeah, so he's just a really positive guy. Like he's probably the best assistant coach I've had in my life when it comes to hitting, mental side of the game. He really just brings positivity to all of us, and he will never let you think down on yourself. He always just wants you to succeed, 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 believe in yourself. And I think that's just a huge part of our season this year. And walking in every at bat, every game, no matter what the situation is, having that great mindset and positive mentality, I think just brought us to where we are now. And it's just amazing.
Evin, for you, you brought up Coach Herba as well. Just your take on his place with the staff and why, just like Zach, to mention him specifically when it came to your recruitment.
Um, yeah, Coach Herbo since the very beginning has bet like when I was in high school, we would talk all the time. And, getting here, he has helped me so much in regards like Zach said, the mental side of hitting and attacking pitchers. And again, what Zach said, the positivity he brings to us is just so reinforcing and just his passion for the offensive side of the game and his not I mean he has so much knowledge about it too. I think that's the biggest driving factor of why our offense was so potent this year. We all just bought into what he said, and you know I couldn't think of a better hitting coach for this team than Ryan Herba, and he really I'm getting choked up, but he's a great coach, and he's done so much for us, and he's done so much for me personally. I know he's done so much for everyone else. He's just a great guy to have in your corner.
And when you talk about the coaching staff, obviously your head coach, Tim Sinicki, I'd love to get your thoughts on him and his leadership, starting with you, Evin. And the second question, and maybe the most important question, I've asked Tim for a Binghamton baseball hat. I asked him over a year ago. I guess at this point, maybe I should be asking him for a championship hat.
Yeah, no, Coach Sinicki is very passionate. He's very competitive. That's my favorite thing about him. He's the one of the most competitive guys I know out there, and you know, he knows how to work with everyone. He knows how to push the right buttons. he knows how to manage a game. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time. He's just so knowledgeable about the game of baseball and in a more old school fashion, which I think is needed in today's game a little more as, everything starts to move more towards, newer analytics and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Coach Sinicki keeps us grounded and coaches the game the right way to help us win. And, you know, he puts us in the right situations, and obviously looking at his track record, he knows how to win.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he's been a part of the fabric of Binghamton for seemingly forever. It feels like. So, Zach, for you, how do I get myself a championship hat? A championship hat for the Binghamton Bearcats, and your thoughts on head coach Tim Sinicki?
Yeah, so right when I met him first time, I mean, he was amazing. Like he was just so kind. He was just the coach that I wanted to play for. And getting to know him throughout the fall and throughout the winter and the beginning of the season, like Evan said, the competitive side that he has is just something that I love. And for him to just be fired up for every little situation and pushing us no matter what happens throughout the game, it just really brings fire under us. And we want to win, not just for us, but for him too, because of also, like he said, like his track record, coach of the year, all the championships he's won, and bringing this program to what it is today.
So, Zach, how do I get myself a hat? Can you steal one? Is there another one?
I mean, I'll check for you. Yeah.
Appreciate it. So, as we look at this season, and Zach, I'll start with you, and I want to hear from you both on this. But we have seen, obviously, something that is in life in general, and the tagline for this show, Wake Up Call, is where sports meets life. And that parallel that sports has with life itself, adversity, we need adversity, right? We need adversity to grow. We need adversity to figure out who we are. So starting off the season with 3 losses in the row to Texas State, and then you got some victories against Elon, and then we saw kind of a back and forth, having some wins and losses. You went up against the University of Missouri, and as you went through the season and looking at different pieces, St. Bonaventure, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC, having a couple losses before you had a victory there. As you go through this, as well as the losses to Bryant 3 in a row before seeing Bryant again at the end of everything here in the America East Championship, adversity was a part of the season. Adversity was something that tested your mettle. And in the case of Bryant especially, you lose to them 3 games in a row, and then because you defeated them at the end of the America East Championship, you get to crown yourselves champions. So just what you could say to what adversity taught you, and then specifically to the matchup with Bryant and getting to see them again and knowing that you had to go through them in order to be champions.
Yeah, so the beginning of the season was tough at some points, but we battled through everything. Like playing Missouri, and we beat them. Like we knew what we had as a team as a whole, and we knew that this team would be special. Going throughout the season, there was obviously ups and downs, but we would just keep our head forward and just keep moving. And I think that was the one thing with this team. We never gave up, no matter what happened. And when it gets to Bryant, I mean, even though those 3 losses happened, we put them in the rearview mirror, and we kind of just were on a roll in the tournament, and we weren't letting anyone stop us. So after that first loss, Coach Herbert came over to us and was like, "This is what it's all about. Like it's a championship game. You got to do what we got to do now. We know. Put that in the past, and just we bought in, and we fought the whole game, and it was amazing. It was hard, mentally draining that whole day, but it was completely worth it. Like he said it may be hard, but it's definitely going to be worth it. So
Yeah, and you talked about Missouri, played them, Missouri of the SEC, played them in 4 games and split with them 2-2. What did that tell you about the caliber of this team, as we know that you have the SEC now in the NCAAs?
I mean, it just showed us that we can compete with anyone, no matter what the conference is, no matter what the team is, the pitcher, the hitters. We're there, and no one can stop us. We're the only team that can stop ourselves, so that felt really good.
I love that. The only one that can stop me is me. going to back to you, Evin, for this. When you look back on the season, you look back at the adversity, you heard what Zack had to say. Is there another piece of the season that you can point to where you really thought the team learned something that was an integral part in becoming champions later on in the season for the America East?
I think towards the middle of this conference schedule, we were kind of at 500, a little below 500. And then we had NJIT come into town. And NJIT, I think, was first in the conference at the time. And none of us really blinked an eye at that. We said, you know what? We gotta win. That's it. There's no like, oh, these guys are the best. Like, oh, and we swept them. And it just showed, I think it just reproved to everyone. It's like, yeah, we can do this. We've had some slip ups. And it's good to have slip ups. I don't want to be the team that wins every single conference game. Then we get to a tournament and we struggle, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to not face adversity and then once we see it, once we get scared. You know, I think the best teams I've been a part of have faced adversity all season long and come out on top, and we've used that as fuel. So sweeping NJIT, I think, reproved to ourselves that we can do this. The sweep against Bryant was tough, but we could have easily won all those games as easily as we lost them. So I think the whole season experiencing adversity, we have a young staff too that was getting some of their first innings of their careers and them receiving a lot of tough innings and, you know, maybe not having as much success as they needed. Now we go to the championship game and sophomore Jackson Mitchell, sophomore Ben Griffith eat up huge innings for us and we come out on top. I think all those innings of adversity really got them to the point where I trusted both of them in that championship game to get us through.
Yeah, you know, and you discussed that, like you said, guys getting their first innings, their first experience through the season, and then having that that adversity that you go through, that a loss, that something that doesn't work out in your favor can help you because that experience, right? People look at life and say it's all got to be good. It's all got to be good. Everything's got to be great. Everybody I ask out's going to say yes. Every job I apply to is going to say yes. Every test I take, I'm going to get 100. But that's not how life works. And people look at those negative moments where you hear the no's, where you didn't get what you wanted, and the response is, well, then I guess I'm a failure by some people, where other people say, I'm going to use this no. I'm going to use this redirection. I'm going to use this lesson, I consider a lesson from God, and I'm going to take it somewhere else. What can you say about this team as a whole, that when you had that adversity, when you had those moments of strife, that guys didn't get down on themselves and say, okay, we suck, I'm terrible, I shouldn't be out there, but turn around and said, you know what, I'm going to use every bit of this really bitter taste to make sure that the next time I'm on the mound or the next time I'm up at bat or the next time that ball goes up in the air, I got this thing.
Yeah, I mean, what I can say to that is that day in, day out, every single guy was in the facility getting their work in and working on what they need to do to get better. You know, every single hitter, good or bad weekend, they would still get in the cages, do their routine, and make sure they're hammering what they know they need to do. Pitchers, they were always getting their lifts in. Even if they had a bad outing, they showed up to their bullpen, ready, hungry to work on what they needed to. And I mean, those guys work much harder in the weight room than you'd probably think. Those pitchers, they work their butts off, and it's impressive to see week in, week out. Every single guy on this team was bought into making themselves better and keeping themselves healthy. And I think that's what made us good in the long run and made us our best versions of ourselves when we needed it the most, which is this conference tournament.
Yeah, when we look at this conference tournament, you heard Zack talk about it a little bit, Evin, to see Bryant again, to come through this tournament, to beat UMBC 14-8, then NJIT 15-10, then Albany 21-6, and then take that loss to the number one seeded Bryant 7-3, and then turn around in 11 innings and win 6-5. You start this America East tournament off great, right? 3 victories in a row, and then here comes the adversity again, and you respond right away to that adversity in a doubleheader on Sunday just a couple days ago, right before Memorial Day, to win in 11 innings 6-5. I mean, is there any better story than to come through that winning, take the loss, and then flip it right back around right after that game and say, hey, if we're going extra innings, it's going to be us, not you, that's holding that trophy?
I don't think there's a better way you could have wrote that story. I mean, when I saw that we had to face Bryant for the championship, I was content because I was glad we were facing they're the best team. And I was like, if we're gonna win this, we should beat the best team.
Yeah.
So we earned the right to afford a loss in the championship because we won our games and got there without losing. So that first loss, we earned the right to have it. But we knew that, hey, Coach Herba said you got to draw a line at some point and you can't get pushed further. And that's what we did, you know. I think they came out scoring first, but we were able to answer back, and then we took a lead. And we were holding that lead for a while, but they're a great offense, so they eventually tied it back up. But we were able to win the game in a not our usual fashion, which is, you know, crushing the baseball, hitting home runs, and a bunch of doubles. We were able to win the game with small ball, and it was a very satisfying win on both ends. Great defense, great pitching, and tough offense. And that's what you needed to beat the best team. And we did. And we ended up coming out on top and able to crown ourselves the best team now.
And Zack, for you, I mean, the name is in your name, Bearcats. You truly bared down in this game to get the victory. Bring me into just a couple days ago on Sunday, facing off against Bryant and getting the extra innings, the extra opportunity to say, we are going to dig in deep, we're going to bear down in this thing, we're going to get a victory, and we are going to crown ourselves champions. It's on us. It's not about what we're taking from the number 1 seed. It's about what we're giving to ourselves. I'd love to get your thoughts, Zack.
Yeah, so honestly, that whole day, I feel like I was in the present no matter what. Like the first game went by and it didn't even felt like when the second game started, it didn't even feel like we played the first game. I was so locked in on the second game that it didn't even feel like we played 9 innings of baseball. So that extra inning game was mentally draining. It was physically draining, tough conditions that day too. That whole week was tough conditions on the body, and we just had to keep our heads right forward and keep moving. I mean, to play 11 innings in a championship game, must win. That's what we wanted, but it was really hard, and the whole team just said screw it, and we won because that's how tough we are as the Bearcats. I mean, that extra inning, everyone contributed an insane amount. Like Sully said, Ben coming in and giving us those innings in the end of the game was huge. I mean, that was just incredible, and we knew he was our guy right there and had all confidence in him. So it was what we wanted.
Yeah, and to now head to the NCAAs, you guys found out after your America East champions, you found out where you were going to be, and you have been seeded to first and foremost go up against Georgia. So I'd love to get your take on that since you've already seen the SEC, just what it meant to you to see the bracket come out, to be there with your brothers, and to see the Georgia Bulldogs up there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was a surreal moment, seeing our name being called in a regional, in a bracket, and going to Georgia, the 7th team in the country. I think it's just going to be incredible, and we're all just so excited for this opportunity, and it's can be a once in a lifetime opportunity. Evan's beyond lucky to have it for a second time, so I mean, it's going to be amazing going down there and playing Duke, Oklahoma State, Georgia with the fans, the atmosphere down there. It's going to be amazing. So we're really excited.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this, potting, so to speak, system like I looked at for softball as well for Binghamton. So Evin, for you, when you look at this pod and you look at where you're at, you just heard your teammate talk about it a little bit here and what Zack had to say, that in the Athens, Georgia bracket, we have the Bulldogs, we have the Bearcats yourselves, we have the Blue Devils of Duke, and we have the Cowboys of Oklahoma State. What's your thought of being in this pod?
It's exciting. A bunch of good teams, a lot of cool uniforms, you know. Uh, I think it's going to be a good time. I'm glad we got to go down to SEC country. I hope there's a lot of fans. I know they're not going to be rooting for us. In fact, I hope they taunt us. I hope they get on us because that's what it's all about, you know. I wouldn't respect the fan base if they didn't, you know, get on the opposing team. But I'm really excited for this opportunity, as we all are. I'm excited for us to go and try and play our best ball, go and compete with these guys. And it's going to be a great time, you know. And we're finally like playing some warm weather. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, you said, I want them to taunt us. I want them to be honest. I don't respect a fan base if they're not. Why do you welcome? I love it, and that's why I'm asking. Why do you welcome the negativity, the hate, the whatever comes your way? Some people, especially in today's society, there's so many people that can't take a dislike button on social media. Why do you say, hey, you know what? Yell at me. I like it.
You know, I think that's just what sports are about. You know, I love big crowds, and obviously when we get big crowds at our stadium, it's awesome having people cheer for us. But I remember, you know, my freshman year we played Mississippi State in a midweek, and I remember the first time like that, like I would strike out and people are cheering. I'm like, whoa, this is a weird feeling. But you know, I just in sports in general, I just love when fans are passionate, and if they're going to be passionate for the team we're playing, good. You know, if they're going to be passionate in taunting us, good. That's all part of the game, and in fact, it should fuel you as a player if opposing fans are on you, because usually that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, and I love that. I'm going to go to you, Zack, here for your thoughts. Do you like it? Do you say, hey, bring it on, let me hear it? You know, do you kind of walk up there with your bat and just kind of have a smile, shake your head, and say, let's do this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I also love it. Going down to A&M last year, it was crazy. They got one of the most attendance that they've ever had, and with them just screaming, saying just like anything and everything. It was just honestly, it was fun because nothing is gonna affect me at the end of the day. Like nothing that they say matters. So it just makes it fun during the game because we don't have that atmosphere here. So being able to play in that crazy environment, it's going to be amazing. And like A&M just like the ball, like that was just amazing. Them blowing the bubbles. It was amazing. Something crazy to experience. And I was really lucky to go down there and face them and experience that huge crowd and atmosphere. So I can't wait for Georgia.
You know, I love the fact that this morning I'm talking to people that are saying, hey, if you have negative energy, bring it to me. I love it. What do you do with it when that negative energy comes towards you, Zack? Because I have a quote that I say to myself and I say to other people: outside noise by definition belongs outside. So as long as you don't let it seep into your mind and your heart and soul, then you're good, right? It's going to happen. You can't control it, but you can't let it in. What can you say to this energy when that negative energy comes at you? What do you do with it?
I just let it fly right by me, honestly. I don't let it get to me personally. I mean, because they don't know me personally. If you don't know me personally, it's not going to affect me. Like they're just saying stuff just to try to get under our skin and try to get us off what we're going for in the game. So nothing that they say is going to personally hurt me, um, because I know they're just trying to get in our heads. So it doesn't really matter to me at all, honestly.
Evin, for you, the mental game, mental health, mental toughness, it's so important. Why does the negativity not phase you when it comes your way?
Similar to what Zach said, they're there to watch the game. You know, they're not on the field. They're not in between the lines. Um, it just if people are cheering, booing me, cheering against me, it's like, all right, let me prove them wrong if they think I'm bad, or let me just go play my hardest because as if I'm a fan and I'm booing someone and I see them go out and compete their hardest, there's a little bit of respect there. And I don't play for other people's respect, but I definitely, play to earn it. So I use it as motivation.
Yeah, I could definitely feel that. Before we get into rapid fire, I've been staring at what's over your shoulder, Evan, and I can't help but ask this question. Since you are from Pennsylvania and your teammate, Zack, is from Massachusetts, how does he feel about the sign that's over your shoulder with the Eagles and the Patriots, 41-33?
Now I'm glad you brought this up because there's a reason I'm positioned the way I am.
Okay. So Zack, how do you feel about the fact that this is sitting right over the shoulder of your teammate? Obviously, you from Mass and him from PA, and apparently he had a message to send you today.
I love it. It's great. I mean, you see the Boston Red Sox hats right here. I mean, I've seen several championships in my lifetime, so I'm more than content. Tom
So,
Brady, I mean, several rings. I'm good with it.
so with that being said, we're going to jump into some rapid fire with these gentlemen from the Binghamton Bearcats baseball program as they get set for the NCAAs and heading down to Athens, Georgia to face off against the Bulldogs and also within the same pod as Duke and Oklahoma State. So, Zack, I'm going to start with you. You can ask me any question in the world. It can be any topic. What do you have for me?
Did you play baseball growing up? Were you playing in college? How did that go about for you?
So I did play. So I'm a basketball player, and I love basketball. So my dad wanted me to play baseball, so I played in Little League. I got hit by a wild pitch right above my kidney, and I remember being a kid and going to the doctor and him saying if it was like an inch or maybe even less than an inch, I would be peeing blood. And I remember going, oh, okay. So, but yeah, I mean, I didn't have the passion for baseball growing up that my dad kind of wanted me to have. And now I have more of a passion now and more of a respect for it now. So I didn't play a lot, but I will definitely say that I have a tremendous amount of respect for the game itself. And if and when I have children someday, I feel like I do want to take them out and get a little BP in there and see what they got. I feel like that'll be a part of my dadhood, so to speak. My question back to you, Zack. Okay. If you could be on any team, baseball, football, basketball, I mean, you're spoiled, right, in Massachusetts because the Celtics are champions, the Patriots are champions, the Red Sox are champions. So I'd love to get, and the Bruins, right? So I mean, you've had I mean, honestly, living in Massachusetts, all you know is championships. So if you could be on any one of those teams in any era of their play, what team would you be on and why?
Honestly, I think I would be on the Celtics last year. I I love basketball, and I played growing up all the way until junior year of high school.
Okay.
And I honestly liked basketball more than baseball throughout my childhood. I just thought it was so fun, like going down, playing pickup with all my friends, and just I thought it was like amazing. Like I think being on the Celtics last year though would be honestly top for me because playing in the Gardens just it would be electric. And yeah,
Yeah, and having the experience of being around former Duke Blue Devil Jason Tatum and getting to speak with him, definitely have a lot
yeah.
of respect for Mr. Tatum. All right, Sullivan, what do we got for me? What's your first question?
So you actually had my friend on a little bit ago, Sarah Rendy, and she told me to mention chicken cutlets, and I just wanted to ask you why I should ask you about chicken cutlets.
So, yeah, Sarah and I had a conversation about what it means to be a real Italian. And when people are not Italian, they want to come to the house and they want to have stuffed shells and they want to have lasagna and they want to have pizza. But a real true Italian knows the importance of a chicken cutlet. and we spoke about how her mother is going to find a way to provide me with a chicken cutlet. And after the show, she wrote me a message and said, like, already talked to mom. It's in the works. We're gonna make it happen. So if you know being Italian, you know chicken cutlets. And Sarah has built this up so much in my mind that I look forward to Mrs. Rendy there giving me a chicken cutlet that I'm going to remember for a long time.
That's awesome.
Thank you. My question, shout out to Sarah. Hope she's doing well. And obviously, shout out to the softball team who did incredible this year.
Mm-hmm.
My question back to you, Evin. Okay, let's stick with food. If we created an Evin Sullivan dish, what would the dish have in it and why?
So I'm just so all my teammates know I love Moe's.
Okay.
So the Evan Sullivan dish is going to be a Moe's stack, which is seasoned rice, adobo chicken, but extra adobo chicken because obviously you need the protein,
Okay.
and the queso and a little bit of cheese, which is kind of overkill because queso is cheese and all that. And then some Moe's sauce. I mean, that's the Evan Sullivan dish. I probably have that almost every single day for lunch.
Okay. All right. Give it up to Moe's. Evin, you're going to lead us into our final rapid fire here. So what's your second question for me?
Who has been you're from the Syracuse area, right?
Yep.
Who has been your favorite Syracuse athlete to watch, like play in person?
Oh, my goodness. Play in person. I would have to say it's a really good question. I love my guys. I would, and I mean, I love the women that have played there too. And there's been so many student athletes on the men's and women's side. Probably Donovan McNabb. And
That's
Eric.
awesome to hear.
Probably Donovan. I got to meet him, and I got his autograph. It's in my studio, and I met him before. So you being an Eagles fan, you'll appreciate this. So at Tully's on Erie Boulevard in Syracuse, there, my mom, my dad, and I were eating there one day. We were all the way in the back. Guy kept walking by. I said, "Ma, I think that's Donovan McNabb," and I was little. And she's like, "I think you're right." My dad's like, "You're both nuts. There's no way that that's Donovan McNabb. He wouldn't be working at Tully's, whatever." So we kept saying, like, "Dad, I'm serious." And we were there for a couple hours. So we leave. My dad's like, we're like, we're going to stay in here for a second. My mom's like, "I'm going to ask him." My dad walks out. He goes to the car. So my mom goes over to Donovan, and he's working as a host at Tully's on Erie. And she said, "Are you Donovan McNabb?" And he looks at her. He looks around. And he puts like a over his own. He's like, nobody like knows even here. And so he said, "Yeah, I am." And my mom's like, "Can you sign something for my son?" He was playing basketball at the time for the team. So I wanted a basketball autograph, 25, not 5, because I'm a basketball. I play basketball. So he takes a Tully's coaster that they still have. He signs the back of it, Donovan McNabb, number 5 quarterback. It's in my studio right off my right shoulder to this day, and he leaned in and he said something to my mom and I, and to this day, for me, it's one of the greatest memorable things that I've ever heard anybody say. My mom and I were standing there. He leaned down and he whispered into our ears at the same time. He said, "I know I'm not anything right now, but just watch. I might be somebody someday." And then he ended up starting, and then he was the number 2 overall pick, and numerous NFC championships in the East, and going and playing in a Super Bowl. So, yeah, that's my Donovan story, but I would say Donovan McNabb.
That's awesome.
My question back to you, Evin. If you took over my show for a day and it's Wake Up Call with Evin Sullivan, who are your 3 guests and why?
Who are my 3 guests? Yeah. So, one of my guests would be Devin Bade, because once you get him talking, he won't stop.
Okay.
Another one would be Ryan Herba, because he says some of the most outlandish things ever. Like, just the little quips he comes up with, just I don't even know how he comes up with them. And Number three would be Foles, which is our old assistant coach, Ed Foley,
Yeah.
who retired last year, but he still like helps the program because he's also just another. All three of those guys just always have something to say, and I think having a podcast where all three of them are included would be very fun.
I love that you picked all Bearcats, and I respect that coming from Evin Sullivan. All right, Zach, what's your final question for me?
How did you get into starting podcast, and what do you love most about it?
So I got into it, long story short, being a storyteller. And so between whether it's sportscasting, screenwriting, songwriting, comedy, anything that I've done in my life, it all starts with a pen and a paper. And when I was 5 years old, I started writing stories on my dad's word processor, which was this glorified typewriter that had a little screen. And normally on typewriters, you couldn't see what you were typing. His had a screen. To this day, that word processor that I started my career, that I started my storytelling on, is in my office, which is connected to my studio. So I got into it because I'm a storyteller. I have a strong faith in God, and I believe that if I can reach people and share their stories and help people to laugh and think and really value what they have in their lives, maybe, showcase or spotlight what's important to them and help them to see it, that through storytelling I can help to make the world a better place, and that's what I work to do. So I got into it being a storyteller. I'm still in it because I'm a storyteller, and I love making my world tiny in a good way, and I hope that I spread positivity. What's my favorite thing about it? What I'm doing right now. Learning about people that I would never know any other way, and once I get to know you, now it's different. Now I'm shooting you a message before the game saying, all right, Ev, all right, Zach, let's get it. Let's make it happen. This Friday on May 30th, obviously I was going to be cheering on Binghamton, but now I've gotten to know some of your teammates. Obviously, I know Tim Sinicki, and, now knowing you guys, now there's going to be a little bit more of a fire here and a little bit more excitement on my side. So I love meeting people, and I love getting to know about you, and I love seeing people smile, and I love seeing people know that they're valued and that they matter. And so if I can do that, I'm going to do it every day of my life, and I know God will let me, so I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. My question back to you, Zach, and the final question we have for this Bearcat Breakroom. With a last name like Kent, I was wearing a Superman shirt yesterday, so here's my question for you. If you could have any superpower, what superpower would you want to have? But here's more. So you get to pick your superpower, you get to pick Evan's superpower, and you get to tell me the villain that you want to face. Go ahead.
Oh, geez, any superpower.
Yes.
Honestly, I think I'd want to fly. I think I would want to be able to fly.
Okay.
Like, I think it would honestly be cool to just turn on a little switch and just have wings to start flying around so you don't gotta drive anywhere and seeing things like in the mountains and stuff where like you can't get to, or just like having like a bird's eye view, not always being on the ground. I think that'd be cool, honestly. Um, Evan's superpower, I'm gonna choose. Oh, oh, I don't even know if he knows. Do you know, Sully?
Well, yeah, I would want to be super strong, and for you, I would choose invisibility so I wouldn't have to see your face.
I knew one of you was going to pick invisibility. All right, Zach. So what villain would you face?
Villain.
Yes. Can be anything.
Um, that's tough. Like, like one that is like an actual character, or just like anything.
Anything.
Hmm. I wanna I wanna go up against a megalodon.
I like it. Well,
Bring him back. Go up against him.
Right. Why would you pick a megalodon?
I don't know. I think honestly, because they're extinct, and I saw something the other day about them, and I thought they were like pretty cool. So if I'm flying, I think I could beat him if I'm flying and he's swimming in the ocean. You know,
Okay.
I could drop things on him and get him from angles that he has no idea.
And then we'd have the super strength of Sully as well. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, for Zack Kent and Evin Sullivan here with me today in the Bearcat Breakroom in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. Your Bearcats know how to win, and they have done it very, very well this season in the classroom first and foremost, and on the fields, courts, pools, and tracks of life. The baseball team is heading to the NCAAs. They're going down to Georgia, and their first game will be against the Georgia Bulldogs on Friday, May 30th. You can go to binghamtonbearcats.com for more information. Congratulations to you both and your team for being the 2025 America East champions and for giving me something awesome here before Memorial Day to get to put out there. I love the confetti. I love that it's in Binghamton green, and congratulations to you both, Zack and Evin, and your team once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I look forward to talking with you both soon, and I look forward to seeing a victory this Friday and as we step forward. So for the Bearcats, as always, I'll say bear down. I'll also say one Binghamton, and I'll look forward to talking with you guys soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, take
Have
care.
a good one. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. That coming once again from Evin Sullivan and Zack Kent here in this edition of the Bearcat Break Room in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. We'll take our final step aside in our first show from the great state of Florida as Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is down in our second home of the Sunshine State for this week and next week. And we're broadcasting here with you. We would be outside, but it is very hot and it will shut my computer off, which is why you see this picture behind me from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Our final step aside. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Bryan and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Bryan's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there's something about, owning my own company and be able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 07, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There was a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. And in a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks comes to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, and you could find hockey, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, and more, including AEW, UFC, Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Pokemon while supplies last, on-site, on location at the place that helps you be a big kid every single week. Tuesday through Saturday, open 10 to 6, and on Sundays from 10 to 5, as well as a monthly trade night that GG Cards and Breaks brings to the community. You will have all that you need to stay close to the players you love, the teams you love, and the characters and games you love with singles, graded cards, packs, and boxes, as well as everything you need when it comes to supplies to make sure you protect your cards, showcase your cards, and be able to travel with those cards. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, where we can all be big kids. With that being said, in our first broadcast from the Sunshine State this time around, you know Florida has been the second home of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and Wake Up Call for over a decade, and we are down here for the next 2 weeks broadcasting in our Travel Great Lakes Honda City studios. I want to thank Dukes Knutson as well as Evin, Sullivan, and Zack Kent for being a part of today's show. The Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by Avicolli, will be in a separate video, so make sure you look out for that on our social media. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, thanks for being with us all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both / Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Of course, once the shows go live, then they jump into the archives, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube, as well as more. Will give you our content with Wake Up Call. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big time thanks to the Brooklyn Pickle and Southern Pines. The Brooklyn Pickle has an all-new segment on Wake Up Call with that Southern Pines location as our focus. 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Our segment is called In a New York Minute, and it's where I share positive, inspirational words of advice all throughout the weeks here. So make sure you're always with our social media to find out what's coming to you in a New York Minute from Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And many thanks to our team of partners in Central and Upstate New York, Great Lakes, Honda City, Carvel, DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Avicolli, Servomation, Mother's Cupboard, Chick-fil-A, Cicero, Canine Camp, Dog Daycare, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, and we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins, Bryan and Stratton College Bearcats of Syracuse, and your Binghamton University Bearcats. You'll find the Dolphins every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time. You'll find the Bearcats every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time, and the Bobcat Buzz every single month for the Binghamton University, for the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. You will find the Bobcat Buzz. Each of our wonderful exclusive multimedia marketing partners are on youtube.com / Wake Up Call DT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Lemoyne playlist, the BSC Syracuse playlist, and the Binghamton playlist. The Dolphins, the Bobcats, and the Bearcats are on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. For your Bobcats, go to Syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And for your Bearcats, go to BinghamtonBearcats.com. With that being said, from the Great Lakes Honda City studios, and of course from the great state of Florida, we'll continue to broadcast for the next 2 weeks. Wake Up Call on site, on location, giving our second home some love down here in Florida. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City studios, have a beautiful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Take care of yourself. Be good to each other. And remember, effort means everything.